Hi there, another quick video from me, Paul Hardingham, and we have Mr. Donald Trump, President of the United States of America. I love OSMI, wearing the t-shirt. Well done, Donald, for wearing that for us. Obviously, it's just created by OSMI AI. ChatGPT wouldn't create a political image like that, but uncensored and decentralized. Well done, OSMI. What I wanted to cover today very briefly was the conversion of our daily rewards into actual OSMI tokens that we can then convert on exchanges in terms of putting it into fiat currency. That is due to happen today in the UK at midnight. So today's 27th of February, which is 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I believe I've got that correct. I might be slightly out on those times. Fairly relevant if I'm slightly wrong with a few hours, and it's also fairly relevant if they don't manage to do it at the time they're suggesting. If they're a day or two late, it's not going to have a big effect, because fundamentally our tokens have been rewarded to us, and it just means if they're 3 days late, we'll unlock 3 days worth of tokens on the first day rather than 1 day. I still have a lot of confidence in the team, where they're going, the project as a whole. But the other thing I wanted to just highlight was that a lot of people seem to be discussing in the Discord group for OSMI the idea of selling their tokens in order to cover their cost of their nodes, their license in the first place, which I partially get. I understand that that will create, I think, an initial selling pressure on the price for OSMI. So OSMI token price, I think, is likely to fall in the immediate future. That gives a buying opportunity for anyone who's got the long-term vision for OSMI. I've got a dog barking in the background, don't know if you can hear that. So yeah, that's just a bit of perspective on that. The other thing to bear in mind is the OSMI node licenses, the OSMI nodes themselves, are NFTs. So if you go and have a look in your NFT wallet, so I'm using MetaMask, you can see your OSMI nodes in there, and you will see that there's a send button. Now at the moment you can't send them anywhere. They are NFTs, but they're locked to the account in which they were purchased, or from which they were purchased, for 12 months. So in 12 months time I'll be able to sell my NFT. So the other thing to bear in mind in here is that some people seem to think, I'm spending $4,000, $4,100 buying a node, and I want to get my money back. The only way to get your money back is through the token, the daily reward on tokens. Well, that's not the case, because you still own the asset. So that's akin to like saying, I want to buy a house for a rental income, but I'm assuming the house has no fundamental value. It will give me a rental income, but I don't own the house. Well, that's clearly ridiculous, because you do own the house as a landlord. And so the beauty of that, as an analogy, is that OSMI, you own the digital asset, the node itself, as an NFT, which you can transfer after 12 months. And I'll show you in a moment. This is very real. We've done this with other nodes in the past. So you've got the asset, the underlying asset, plus the income source from that asset. So again, that's why I think owning a property, a rental property, is a good illustration in the real world versus the digital world. And that's, again, an extra strength on owning OSMI nodes. Now, clearly we don't know what the future price and value on OSMI nodes will be, so we do have to wait 12 months before the first OSMI nodes will be available as resaleable items. But there's kind of three possible outcomes. Either OSMI token escalates and OSMI as a project becomes really popular, in which case the nodes are going to go up in price, or OSMI just bundles along, token price stays pretty much where it is, and therefore the node itself is probably going to still be around about $4,000 on a second-hand market. Alternatively, OSMI crashes and dives in 12 months. The nodes themselves aren't worth much. The token value crashes, that's not worth much, and you're still getting 200, 250 OSMI tokens a day from your node. So there will still be some fundamental value in that, I'm sure. So that's all we can say. There's three possible outcomes. Now, if that first possible outcome is the one that happens, then what you don't want to do is in 12 months time, 18 months, 2 years time, look back, as you could potentially argue you might have done with Bitcoin. I think I gave this illustration the other day in an email. If you had invested $4,000 in Bitcoin, 10 years ago, where you don't actually have any other asset, you just simply bought some Bitcoin, you don't have something which is generating an income, you just simply have the asset, a bit like buying gold. Buying gold is an asset, it doesn't produce an income, but you own the gold. That's what it was equivalent of Bitcoin. So if you'd invested $4,000 in Bitcoin 10 years ago, that today would be worth about 1.85 million. So yes, it would have been a phenomenal return, and you could sell that and that'd be it. But if you had purchased a Bitcoin farm, as it were, that was generating Bitcoin, and you could have bought that for $4,000, and it gave you those Bitcoin as well as the income generating asset, then obviously you still have that asset which you could sell, which could also have substantial value. So that's where we're at with OSMI. So I wanted to show where that could happen. Excuse me. So nftharbor.io. This is created by some supporters and fans of Gala, the Gala chain, the Gala network, Gala Games, Gala Film, Gala Movies, Gala Music. And here people can buy and sell NFTs. So we were always told, I was one of the early holders of a founders node with Gala. And so you can look up nodes here at NFT Harbor, and you can see founders nodes. These are Gala Games founders nodes. Go to the details, and just very quickly, and one of the strengths of cryptocurrency is the transparency and openness that you can see. So back in October, 642 founders nodes were sold with an average price of $5,075 US. In November, 580 was sold, an average price of 5,216, gone up in price. In December, the price went up even higher, $5,895 US per node sold, 367 nodes sold. So you can see there is a liquid market at the moment on the market. If we go to the actual listing here, if you wanted to buy a Gala founders node, you could come in here. There's one here listed for sale at $3,228. This generates for you daily Gala token. This is worth about 1/10 of the current OSMI token, and similar sort of value. So you could argue, if there are Gala nodes selling for $3,000 here, and an OSMI node would make you 10 times the amount of money, OSMI nodes which are available to buy at the moment for $4,000 could potentially, on a pro rata basis, be worth about $40,000. So if you're wanting to compare a node generating an income, you put OSMI next to a Gala node. Gala node, we know, is a definite. This is a very real price, $3,200. That's the market price. There's been over 1,000 sales of Gala nodes in the last 5 months. You can see that. It's all on the crypto exchange. You can see all the details on that. Then, yeah, OSMI nodes currently selling for $4,000. In theory, are probably worth about $40,000. If you've got other people who don't even know about OSMI at this point, would be interested in buying an asset that produces an income, a daily income, very much like buying a property in the rental market. You know, if you were to buy a property, I don't know, let's go North Yorkshire because that's where I am. If you were to buy a rental property here for, let's say, £250,000, and it gave you 10% rental yield every year, after 10 years you've covered the cost of the property, but you still own the property. Now, if you had two rental properties right next to each other, a Gala node versus an OSMI node, one's producing 10 times the return of the other, then it makes sense that the property itself, so you might have a £250,000 property sat next to a £2.5 million property to give the same sort of proportional return. Or alternatively, and that's a bad analogy, so I've got a £250,000 property generating 10% yield per year, so £25,000 a year rental income. If I have a property right next to it also producing a £25,000 a year rental income, but only costs £2,500, sorry, £25,000, why would I spend £250,000 when I could get the same rental income for 1/10 of the price? I think I've made the point there. Okay, so I think OSMI nodes rather are still tremendous value, comparing them to Gala nodes which have a real market price, real application. We're at the very early stages of OSMI. clearly, and if OSMI doesn't gain huge traction next 6 to 12 months, then obviously that will tilt and change quite radically. But vice versa, OSMI could absolutely take off from where it is at the moment, where there's only about 300 plus people actually own and operate OSMI nodes. There's not a huge amount of chatter in the market yet about OSMI, but once they bring in some other applications, you know, when you see the images like that, I heart OSMI on Donald Trump, it's a pretty good image. That's very well done by OSMI. Then this could gain a lot of popularity. Anyway, I'm not going to do an update today on the actual conversion of OSMI tokens for the exchange. We've got a special birthday in our family tomorrow, so I won't be around tomorrow, but it's scheduled to happen tonight. That this feature will be added to our dashboards, where we can convert our OSMI tokens into exchangeable exchangeable tokens, and mint those. We've had some basic instructions on that. We'll certainly see over the next 2 or 3 days how that pans out, and I'll keep you updated with a video on that as and when, but it won't be tomorrow. I might do an email tomorrow, but I won't be doing a video tomorrow. Anyway, wishing you all the best. Hope you have a good weekend as well, and well, we're only on Thursday, aren't we? When we get to the weekend, have a good weekend, and thanks for watching. We'll catch you again soon.